Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a country that often just gets reduced to a single geographic statistic. You think of this place and you immediately just think of Mount Everest.
Right, yeah. It's the classic postcard image.
But the research you've pulled together for us paints a much more complex picture. We're looking at Nepal. And the big takeaway from our travel guide source isn't just about altitude, it's about density.
Exactly. I mean, it's a tiny country, small in size, but absolutely massive in culture, nature, and spirituality. Geographically, it's landlocked right between two absolute giants. The famous description is a yam between two boulders.
Boulders being India and China.
Right. You have the massive Tibetan plateau of China pressing down from the north, and India surrounding the south, east, and west.
Which is a pretty tight spot to be in.
Hmm.
But our mission today is really to explore how this gateway to the Himalayas functions as this incredible melting pot of religion, extreme geography, and unique traditions.
Yeah, let's actually start with that extreme geography because the stats are honestly kind of ridiculous.
They really are.
The sources highlight that Nepal is home to 8 of the world's 10 highest mountains, including, of course, Mount Everest at 8,848 meters.
But the real insight from the guide isn't just the height. It's the verticality of it all. You go from these lowland plains filled with rhinos.
Split for the world, yeah.
Right, to glaciers and yaks in a very short distance.
And that terrain totally dictates the lifestyle. High up, you have the Sherpa communities. And it's worth noting here, because a lot of people get this wrong, Sherpa isn't a job title for a mountain guide.
Right.
It's a specific ethnic group with deep Tibetan roots who are physiologically adapted to high altitudes over generations.
And then you drop down into the valleys and you hit Kathmandu, which is just the most populous city, and a total sensory overload.
Oh, yeah. It's the historic center. You've got Durbar Square packed with historic temples and stupas.
Stupas being those dome-shaped shrines, right?
Exactly. And that actually brings us to the most fascinating insight about Nepal's soul. It's the religious syncretism.
Meaning the blending of all these different beliefs.
Right. So Nepal was once the world's only Hindu nation, and today it's still about 80% Hindu. But it is also the birthplace of Gautam Buddha down in Lumbini.
So it's not just that Hindus and Buddhists live next door to each other.
No, the lines actually blur entirely. You'll see Hindus worshiping at Buddhist shrines and vice versa. It's this massive spiritual mosaic that also includes Islam and Christianity.
The source mentions there are over 100 different ethnic groups there.
Yeah, over 100. You've got the Gurung, Magar, Tharu, Nuer, Rai, and of course Sherpa, each with their own unique languages and attire.
It sounds like a logistical challenge to keep it all unified, honestly. Even their national flag refuses to conform.
The flag is great. It's the only national flag in the world that isn't a rectangle. It's 2 stacked triangles.
Just a visual declaration that they do things differently.
Totally.
So we have the culture in the mountains, but I want to pivot to the economy. How does a landlocked, mountainous country actually survive?
Well, traditionally it relies heavily on agriculture. And obviously tourism is the flashy revenue stream. You have trekking, boating in Pokhara, or spotting rhinos in Chitwan.
But the real economic engine mentioned in the sources is actually remittances. Money sent home by workers.
Huge amounts of it. A significant chunk of the workforce migrates to the Gulf, Malaysia, and Korea. The money they wire back is basically the backbone of the economy.
Which creates a huge reliance on the outside world. And that connects directly to their relationship with India. They have an open border policy.
Very similar to the EU, Indian and Nepali citizens can cross without visas. And there's a deep shared mythology, too. For example, Janakpur in Nepal is famed as the birthplace of Sita from the Ramayana epic.
But the guide also notes it's a complex dynamic. There are deep cultural bonds, but occasional political friction regarding borders or China.
The yam between two boulders again.
Always. The travel guide summed it up perfectly as a place where nature speaks and culture breathes.
That really captures the vibe.
It does. But looking at the hard facts, I'm left with this final provocative thought for you all to ponder. The source mentions that Nepal changed its constitution in 2015 to become a federal democratic republic.
A massive political shift.
Right, so considering that reliance on foreign remittances, an evolving political identity, and open borders with a giant neighbor, how does a landlocked nation maintain such a distinct, independent identity in the modern world?
It's the ultimate balancing act.
It really is. Something for you to think about. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.